From a cold and noisy Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, this is Tar Heel Illustrated publisher Andrew Jones coming to you about an hour and 10 minutes after North Carolina dropped an overtime game to Pittsburgh, 34-27. The Tar Heels dropped to 4-6 on the season, 3-4 in the ACC. They've lost 2 overtime games now in the season, and they have now lost 6 of their last 7 games that came down to the wire. Tar Heels kicked a field goal with 13 seconds left to send the game into overtime after trailing 24-10 in the fourth quarter. And really, for the first time this season, it looked like the Tar Heels were done. It looked like Pitt was in complete control of the game, and the Tar Heels might finally actually have a loss that doesn't come down to the wire. Yet Sam Howell and company caught fire. They went down the field and scored, cut it to 24-17, and they later tied it up at 24-24. Pitt with a big drive, one of 6 drives that went for 68 yards or more. Pitt ties it up, and then the Tar Heels tie it up right there at the end. It was wild. It was back and forth. My silly prediction of 17-10 Panthers obviously didn't play out. I thought it would be far more of a defensive game. I thought the chilly air might affect the Tar Heels some, and I don't believe it did. Maybe some of the snaps that Brian Anderson had, but otherwise I don't think the cold air was a factor at all. But what we saw tonight were a couple of things. One, Pitt really had a lot of success on offense because Carolina had trouble with some of the shifts. They said communication was an issue. Miles Dorn said that after the game. And the Tar Heels just seemed like they were playing on their heels too often on defense. As a result, Pitt had 6 drives that went 68 or more yards. They scored on 5 of them. One of them they actually didn't. They didn't convert on a 4th down in the red zone. So the Tar Heels really had some issues there. They also gave up some big plays in the day. Pitt, an offense that came into the game, ranked 87th in the country, averaging 380 yards. The Panthers were 26 yards past that, and it was still the third quarter. Carolina's defense did a little bit better, I guess, in the fourth quarter, but the offense had the ball a whole lot. So that's one of the reasons why the Tar Heels' defensive numbers weren't in the 500s or something like that, because it looked like Pitt was headed for a huge offensive outing. In fact, it was the most yards that the Panthers had against a Power 5 opponent for a game, and they had that through 3 quarters. However, one of the other things to take away from this is the fact that Sam Howell really struggled for a while in this game. He had about 5 or 6 balls that he threw either way too high or overthrew some open receivers down the middle of the field. Maybe vision was a little bit of an issue because of that Pitt pass rush that was coming from the middle. It was coming from the edge. And even though the Panthers got to him 5 times, the offensive line did a fairly good job by and large, but there was still a lot of pressure. I don't think Sam saw as well as he usually does. He'll talk to us on Monday, or on Tuesday actually, when we meet with the players, and he'll tell us a little bit more about what the game film reveals. However, this freshman was able to correct a lot of that. For whatever struggles he had in the second quarter and a good part of the third quarter, he flipped the script on that and was sensational in the fourth quarter and had a wide open pass there at the end in overtime and didn't hit it. One of the players, I think Antonio Williams, said he thought Sam may have been hit. His arm was hit when he was throwing that ball. But here's a guy who had one of his rougher outings during a stretch of the game. He's still for 300-plus yards, 3 for 3 touchdowns against the number 9 defense in the nation. So, guys, when this kid gets a little bit better at reading, when he gets a little bit more experience under his belt, dealing with pressure and all that kind of pass pressure and all that kind of stuff, he's just going to be so much better, and he's already awfully good. The other thing, and I know it's a loss, but I'm going to leave you with a positive here. It was 24-10, like I said, and it looked like this team was about to be put away, and they weren't. Now, they've lost 6 out of 7 nail-biters, but the fact that they continue to have these nail-biters and they do not let negative things that happen on the field get them down for very long, and they're able to overcome it, this, to me, is the most important development of this team this season, in addition to Sam Howell. But this is the kind of thing that is program-wide. This is the kind of thing that will carry next year. It will be a part of who they are in the offseason. It will be a part of who they are next year, especially when they're an older team than they are now. They only have a handful of seniors. So this club fought. They took it into overtime. They lost to a better team at 7-3, but they were in position to win. And really, when you think about it, this club is good enough to be in those games, but maybe just don't have enough parts to get over the hump. And we've seen that 6 times now as they're 4-6. So, Tar Heels drop one, 34-27 in overtime. There's positive to take away from it. There's certainly some concerns. Tackling, they didn't control Kenny Pickett, the quarterback, at times when they probably should have. And the theme of not handling running quarterbacks, moving quarterbacks has been consistent throughout the year. That's not news to anybody. But I still think there's some positives they could build on. Now they got to win 2 in a row. They got to beat Mercer. They got to go to Raleigh and win that game. And wouldn't that be something if the Wolfpack is also 5-6 going in that last game, and winner gets a bowl game, loser stays home. This is Andrew Jones. You're watching TarHeelIllustrated.com from Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, Pitt 34, Carolina 27. Thank you.